Hey, welcome back to the Crochet Credits. I was my friends over at yarnspirations.com. Ta-da! I have been working on dishcloths, and this is using the mosaic stitch technique. So I want to talk to you a little bit about actually using cotton yarn, because there's actually a big difference of cotton yarn versus acrylic. Why would you use acrylic on your dishes? So if you have too much time on your hands at home, what I would strongly recommend to you, just cut about 2 feet off of your acrylic yarn. That could be your Caron 1 pound, your Bernat Super Value, or your Red Heart Super Saver. Do the same thing if you have cotton yarn. Do the same thing about 2 feet and lay it on top of a different bowl of water, and you will see exactly what will happen. So did you notice the difference between the two? I bet you probably haven't even tried yet because you're still watching me. All this fabulousness. The difference is that the acrylic, when you put it on top of the water in the bowl, you notice that it wanted to resist the water and it stayed in the floating motion. You probably got all excited and tried to push it down with your fingers. Well, you probably will try it later. If you did the same thing with cotton, when you laid it on top of the water, you notice that the cotton immediately sunk into the bowl. That's because acrylic is a man-made material. It's also a polymer, aka plastic, based product. So it's trying to resist the water, where cotton is a plant product, which is natural and wants to naturally soak in the water. So what was the problem with the acrylic yarn? Well, once I used it, because it's not very strong and because it wants to resist the water, it just literally started to fall apart within the first use and started to kind of pull at the plies. And by the time I was done my first set of dishes, I looked like I had pulled the cloth out of the sewer. It was awful. And the thing stayed wet. It stayed wet for hours, but so many hours is that by the next day, it started to get a bit of a smell. And by day number 3, garbage. So the problem is that because the acrylic is trying to resist the water, but then you end up getting it wet with water, it then hangs on to the water. So it's one of those ones where it doesn't want to be part of the water, but then once it has it, it is kind of like game over because it doesn't want to get rid of it. Now, because I said that cotton is a natural material, when it gets wet, it wants to soak in. But as soon as you start to hang dry it, it begins to dry and to be able to flush the water from the surface. So when you're looking at your balls of yarn, you're looking for 100% cotton yarn. So you'll see that on the ball label. Cotton doesn't stretch. So even though your dishcloth will stretch, that's the stitches stretching. That's not the actual yarn itself. So it's one of the strongest yarns that are available to you. My particular dishcloth that I like for myself is that I like color. So because I'm just kind of half paying attention in the kitchen, I want a dishcloth or a tea towel that grabs my attention versus one that is kind of blending too much that I kind of where is it? Where is it? Meanwhile, it's on the counter in front of me. So it's one of those ideas that you can either match your decor or have some fun with it. I just think that dishes, I love doing dishes. I love doing dishes. I don't know what it is. It's very therapeutic. I started last July. It's now February. And I love the process of it. It just makes me feel like it gets away from the computer. We're getting so much faster in technology that it's just I'll sit there and scrub. So yes, I have a dishwasher, but we haven't actually used it in months. I know. It's special. So I'll leave you with 2 other thoughts. Cotton is also resistant to heat. So you will notice that if you're ever doing any kind of ideas with a casserole dish or a hot pot or something, if you crochet double stranding the cotton yarn, it can actually resist the heat. You do that with acrylic, you're going to have a melting process in there. Of course, some people say that you can put cotton yarn into a microwave. No. Did you hear me? No. So if you're ever making things that go into your microwave, back things, rely on the manufacturers that actually make those kind of things. And you may have had great luck and you can swear by it, but just as a general rule, even Yarn Inspirations would say don't ever put their yarn into a microwave, because you just don't know exactly what's on the yarn itself. So it could pick up something from a surface, and then that becomes the thing that is going to wreck your day. So that's just some things to keep in mind. So whether you like your acrylic or your cotton, they do have the different purposes of it. And so I think you should just play it safe and decide to do the one. So if you're going to put the time in to make your dishcloths, cotton, I know.